I've made it very clear that I enjoy villainous isekai series, so I thought, why not start the new year off with a bite-sized video of recommendations of some of the ones I like. Now, I'm not completely caught up with these series, but what I've read so far has interested me enough to recommend it. The ending could be bad or lackluster, but I haven't reached that point yet. So how I feel about these series could 100% change in the future. The litmus test being that the main characters have to have been isekai'd into the villainous role from a different world, which means a series like Depths of Malice or Justice for the Villainess don't count, as these are series where the main character already exists in the world and are simply switching bodies with someone else. I am making a certain type of exception for 2 though. I will try to be as spoiler-free as possible as well, but I cannot make promises because I get very excited, okay? Okay.
We gonna jump him. I'm gonna hit him with the Yagity Boo.
He's gonna hit me with the Yaga. What?
Yagity Boo!
It's villainous isekai, but make it martial arts. Master Villainess, the Invincible, follows a fantasy romance author named Yeolju after she's hit by a car, you know, the usual, and wakes up as Hei Wong Tang, a villainess in the best-selling martial arts novel The Heir to the Namgun Clan. Now, she plans on avoiding a gruesome end through means of harnessing Haewon's inner chi in order to save her clan, but also to make sure that she can defend herself should anyone try to murder her as it happens in the story. It's an adventure where she encounters a lot of the novel's big players before where they're meant to be, and I think that's really cool. That's kind of a fan dream. Like, imagine getting put in Game of Thrones and just meeting characters before their official introductions. Master Villainess is one of those villainous isekais where the protagonist takes over after the villainess has done something very bad, like attempted murder bad. And I do like those sort of starting off points. It allows for the main character to work through the bad shit rather than just preventing it from happening. And it's not in a case like Beware the Villainess or Kill the Villainess where the guys were dickheads all along. Like, the original male lead has genuine, justified grievances with the villainess. I can admit that I'm not too into martial arts or wuxia like that, and I'm just here for a nice ride. The art is really nice, and since romances are kind of a staple for this genre, I guess I can mention that I do like the prospects of Haewon and Gunwoo. Wait, so are they cousins or not? I don't know. Because I'm not gonna lie, so many male love interests in this genre are massive hits or misses for me, but this is mainly because I'm not here for that. You can officially read this on Tapas.
Why am I the only one that's popping my fucking pussy right now? Mom!
Okay, so imagine this. You get isekai'd, wake up and find out you're now a member of the Zoldyck family from Hunter x Hunter, like from birth, which means you gotta go through all of the training they do. How you feeling? And be honest. This is the case for the poor sod that is reborn as Roxana Agrish, a member of the Zoldyck-like Agrish family who works to prevent assaulting the Earth-like death at the hands of the female lead Sylvia by protecting the female lead's older brother Cassius. Is it Cassius or Cassius? Even though technically you can argue that Roxana is not the villainess of the main novel, but rather it's her brother, she is a member of the villainous family. I think about this manhwa every day because I miss it so much. It's currently on a well-deserved hiatus, so it's a perfect time to catch up to what I believe is the end of season 2, especially if you like stories with darker themes. And if that doesn't convince you, just look at how pretty she is. At least read it to look at how pretty she is. You can also officially read this on Tapas. Update. Literally as I was writing this, I found out that they're officially translating the web novel, which you can also read on Tapas.
I'm gonna eat you alive, you dumb son of a bitch.
Cool. And then we'll have kids together?
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Okay, this is one of the exceptions, because Lyra is not really the villainess. In fact, within the perception of the main game that she's been isekai'd in, she is a nameless extra. However, she's one of the concubines of the game's main villain. So, I'm gonna count this. A woman is transported into her favorite game, Priestess Plus, as Lyra, a young woman from a poor family in the kingdom of Ravati. She becomes one of the concubines of the demon lord Azad. Lyra knows that if certain romantic routes are followed, Ravati would be brought into war and be colonized, which in the game's eye is a quote-unquote good ending, which is quite a vision. So that basically becomes her plan, to prevent her family and her kingdom from being put through war and being colonized. I think my favorite thing about this series is how it has this sort of slice of life approach that helps build onto the relationship, because they are mad cute together, because it's one of those she's not scared of me so I'm into her type of dynamics. I also very much blame the author's TikToks for fueling my love of them.
Promise not to drop me?
Only a fool would drop a girl like you.
I'm gonna eat you alive, you dumb son of a bitch.
Cool. And then we'll have kids together?
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
I heard you're having trouble sleeping, so how about I come over tonight? Bet I can make you tired. Of me, I mean. I'm annoying as shit.
There's no need to be afraid of me. I don't bite. Yeah, but do you stab? I don't bite.
Like, this end of chapter conversation they have is hilarious because he didn't have to do her like that. You can read this on Tapas or at Webtoon.
Thanks. This is the best day of my life. I'm killing myself tomorrow.
Imagine getting isekai'd and you realize you are the Meg Griffin of the verse you're in. How are you coping with the amount of bullshit you're about to be put through? Some poor bastard ends up being isekai'd into the body of Eris Mazarian, a villainous character who is everyone's emotional punching bag. Between her fiance, this knight, and random priest guy treating her like crap in favor of Elena, her future mother-in-law openly despising her for something she had nothing to do with, her father and future father-in-law treating her like a political chess piece, and the only people who show any love and care for her are her maid and personal knight Anakin. Yes, it is. Eris never really had a shot to be happy, and she's destined to be brought to a breaking point and be executed for it. But also, with Eris being pushed around, you'd think Elena would be in a better position until you realize this poor girl is basically pressured into being some kind of doll, because she's essentially a commoner that the three male leads get to ogle and pretend to care about. And it's only when new Eris stops caring about them that they become even more annoying, self-serving pricks. Like, the whole story is just filled with characters who are petty, conniving, and unhappy. Like, just get therapy, people. In most villainous isekais, the protagonist tends to want to avoid the bad endings. However, Eris wants to reach that point in order to be able to go back to her world, because trying to go out on her own terms doesn't work, as the law of causality, whatever it is, the law of plot deems it not her time yet. Eris stands out because she doesn't really change anything about her original behavior aside from how detached she is from all of the drama. Everyone expects her to be mean to Elena because of jealousy. They expect her to be childish so they can insult her for being childish and blame her for all of their problems. But that never ends up being the case. She just doesn't care about Elena outside the role she's meant to play in getting her back home. A lot of people see Eris as a realistic approach, and I agree. I wouldn't want to live in an era where refrigeration is probably not a thing. You can also officially read this on Tapas. I promise you guys, this is not sponsored.
I'm sitting on a bad boy piece of information. Do you understand? A bad boy piece of fucking information.
Good news, you fell into a reverse harem game. Bad news, it's as the villain. Bad news, the heroine is already in the story starting shit. Good news, you can see every decision she makes. RMC wakes up in the body of the Imperial Princess Elvia, the villainess of a reverse harem game, and it's in the worst way too. You ever get a call the first thing in the morning and you just have this burning, murderous intent towards the person calling you? Yeah, she gets a phone call and is isekai. Because the player of the game is active and making decisions and playing like how I normally play Otome games, which is to say, messily. And obviously, in order for the player to get a good ending, they have to get rid of the villainess, which is a problem for the new Elvia. But luckily, she gets notifications about Ariel's comings and goings, which puts her 2 steps in front of her. She can also be messy with it because one of Ariel's love interests is talking and going on and on about how much he and Ariel love each other, and then Elvia gets a notification that Ariel is hooking up with another one of the love interests, and Elvia is just like, alright, go get your little girlfriend. This is another villainous isekai where the MC takes control after the villainess has already done some pretty bad things. Because, what else do you call it when someone is forcefully taken as a concubine? Yeah. You can read this on Tapas. I'm sorry. Tapas be the main one licensing these, y'all. Sue me.
Let's play a little game I made. All you gotta do is pick a candy bar, one gotta play. If you eat the wrong one, I swear to God, but that's on you. All I know is if you spit it
Okay, this is another exception, because the person who is now Karen Hare is not the villainess of her novel. She's the female lead, but let's just say after 117 years of resets, she's about to get fucking devious, bro. Because in an attempt to break her miserable loop, she will be causing mayhem, and her initial list is something. From the story's actual villainess to her fiance, to even the maid that killed her in one loop for trying to flirt with her boyfriend, to some random prisoner. But it's not a simple murder slasher, rather a sort of gothic horror that has revelations that have made me just be like, genuinely what? I'll let you take a guess at where you can officially read this one.
I'ma see with my kids, my bitch, I'm a mother. No drama.
The last recommendation being probably the most wholesome one with I Raised a Black Dragon. I'm a sucker for adorable toddlers, but also the art style and modern-esque setting do make it stand out really well. The MC dies from exhaustion and finds herself wandering and ending up in the body of the villainous Baron from a romantic fantasy novel named Eleonora Isel, who she was only able to possess because the former Eleonora had died. Instead of dealing with all of that plot, the new Eleonora decides to move to the countryside and live a peaceful life. However, that changes when one morning she tries to fry a huge egg, only for it to be a dragon egg. Specifically, a dragon egg that's supposed to be going to the heroine. And to make matters worse, Eleonora's bitter rival, aka the protagonist of the original novel, Kyle Leonard, has come looking for her for realistic reasons, because Eleonora is a notorious crime lord who just up and vanished, and that doesn't sit right with the government. But also she's under investigation, which is the main reason that Kyle is here, and she's under investigation for suspicions on egg theft, which she might have accidentally done. I recently started this one, so I can't say too much on it, but it's a nice read if you just like some found family-esque vibes. And guess what? It's a completely different app this time. It's the Manta app where you can officially read this one. So yeah. So that's it for this video. There are others I have in my library, but I haven't actually started them in order to recommend it. So maybe in the future, maybe I'll specifically see if I have enough of the ones where people just get isekai but they're still in their same worlds or some shit like that. I don't know. But I have been Miss Hexley, and I will see you soon.